to us all, the generality of Muslims, the day of reckoning. Without much ado, we are to rub minds together. I'm not here to lecture because you're all my mothers and fathers. Rather, we are to rub minds together to look at an important aspect of why we are Muslims, why we are proprietors and proprietors. And that is what we shall do within the limited time frame at our disposal. Muslims schools and their roles in societal reformation. It is an important topic. Why is it important? It is important because in most cases we discover that several of our brethren who are into this business, I'm very sorry for using that word for what we do, it is regarded as a business. Running in school is a business. I stand to be corrected anyway because this is not my field. But the way I see it is the way I shall explain it. Running a school is a business. It is a business in Nigeria. Let me narrow it down in that way. It is a business in Nigeria. It may not be business as usual elsewhere, but here it is a business. And whatever we attach that name business onto must be unique. And to run it in a unique way means there shall be unique processes that will be involved in getting that done. And one of such unique processes is identifying that we are Muslims. And putting an enterprise of this nature down in our society requires that we should be conscious of whom we are. So that is the first port of call. We should be conscious of whom we are, because to record our successes in a society like Nigeria is now becoming strange. When we were growing up, we would be happy. Even if it wasn't my father that built a house, I would be happy that a mortal has built a house. A mortal has bought a vehicle. A mortal has been able to amass wealth. That was the thinking when we were growing up. The person who will be celebrating that another person has succeeded may not be related to that person in any manner. That was the impression when we were growing up. But as we speak today, in this same society, whose sky has never changed, whose creator has never changed, the impression has changed. We are now in an era whereby if you are able to record any success within the space within which you work, you have to cover it. You don't have to, like we say, blow your success out of all proportions. Because what makes you happy, like our teachers will say, Ma yusirul abiroro yubogidul ashror. What makes you happy makes other people sad. So my point, I've never forgotten it. We have to have a look into whom we are. This affects the environment within which we want to operate. That is the first port of call. If a Muslim proprietor or a Muslim proprietress is going to succeed, he or she must look within the scope of what he or she has put down. And looking within the scope of what you've put down will require you to look into the challenges that shall face you, that shall stare you in the face. And one of such challenges, as far as we are concerned here, is how do I tie whatever I may have succeeded in putting down around Olonjo, Olondako. That's the first port of call. Why do I say this? Why do I consider this as a fact? It is because most of the buildings within which we operate what we operate are never owned by us. In most cases, we hire those buildings. And one thing I understand is that we've had the reports anyway. Some people will tell you, when you are to start the business of running a school, you approach them. I want to use this building. The community within which the building is situated has sons and daughters who will not see success in running a school. But when you begin yours, and a number of years has elapsed, over what you've begun. You see those babas and mamas who had initially lent out the building to you, saying, ọ̀rẹ́ ọmọ náà fẹ́ run school, ọmọ náà fẹ́ ṣe irú tó ń ṣe. I said we must relook into whom we are. We surface of the challenge that shall stare us in the face. When the issue gets to ọmọ náà fẹ́ ṣe irú ẹ̀, it means you are being sent forth from that place. If you now think you can't go, you can't leave the place, I've had a name, like we say, I've had a name, I've built a name, I've had a goodwill, you shall be sent out there spiritually. But how prepared are you to stand up to that challenge? So that is the first way to manage a school and to have an impact on your society. If you can win the war spiritually, it's going to be an old person in the business you've toiled to start. They will say, ọmọ náà fẹ́ ṣerú ẹ̀. Tọ́wọ́n sọ pé ọmọ náà fẹ́ ṣerú ẹ̀. Problem has begun. How do we then win over the problem? And in the process, several of our brothers and sisters go gaga. Just because of the fear that I may be sent away from this particular building, and I've had a name, I've had a goodwill. How do I withstand my laurel? How do I ensure that I'm not sent back in here? Basically, the building doesn't belong to you. The only thing you can say you want to guard against is you being cheated. But on several occasions, we discover that in a way, in a manner to maintain whom we have, in a place we are using for the business we run, we go extra miles, like they say. And going extra miles for a Muslim, a Muslimah, for an Eleha, for an Alpha, means he or she may end up ascribing what to Allah, what doesn't belong to Allah. It's a challenge. If we win over this particular challenge, it's a spiritual one, we wouldn't deceive ourselves. Truly, we understand the typology of the Sunnah we were taught, we were imbued with. But as days pass by in our society, we are being compelled to go back to a redefinition of that Sunnah, in order that it will conform with the challenges we face on daily basis in this society. So that's the first port of call. The second port of call for a runner of a school who happens to be a Muslim is al-hifadh al-huwiyyat al-islamiyya. How do we protect our being Muslims? We don't, because we want to stay afloat in the business of running a school, lose our connect with our religion. This is a Quranic stance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-An'am, Quran chapter 6 verse 161, narrates, I wouldn't say narrated, it is still a continual fact. Allah narrates to us how Ibrahim alayhi salam stands out among his people in Iraq. He narrates to us how Ibrahim is able to launch the identity with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had sent him as a prophet. Allah says, Ibrahim says, he tells his people that Kul innani hadani rabbi, protecting our identity. If we are able to conduct an axis text around the faith we say we profess as Muslims, as our fathers, as Elehas, are we not going to fail? Do we still hold steadfast to our values as Muslims, as Muslimas? Kul innani, Allah says, oh, tell them, tell people, innani hadani rabbi, the guidance I bank on comes from my Lord. Ala surati mustaqimin, on a path that is never zigzag. That is never zigzag. Allah says, Dina wa qiyam, that is where I'm going. Dina wa qiyam. We run a school in order to launch a religion. We run a school in order to launch values. What are those values we launch? What is the color of the religion we hold steadfast to? Innani hadani rabbi ala siratin mustaqimi dinan wa qiyaman. Is a question. Haven't we lost our grip of our religion? Haven't we lost our grip with our values? Dinan wa qiyam. It is not a religion. Dinan wa qiyaman. A way of life. A spiritual path. Wa qiyaman. Spiritual values that are different from other values in the world. Allah says, Millata Abina Ibrahim. The part of our father Ibrahim, that patriarch. Are we still on that part? Because we on daily basis read the reports that tell us that some schools, some so-called Muslim schools, get involved in what other secular schools do that we all frown at. Where are our values? Where lie our values? Where lies our religion? It's a challenge. It is a big challenge. I tell people, I tell our mothers and sisters that, you see, you shouldn't inferiorize yourself just because you use the niqab. If they say, like I say, Pastor Alabi, if he is to visit your school on Monday, don't remove your niqab. Dina wa qiyam. It is your cerebral makeup that runs a school. It isn't your niqab. It isn't my beard that runs a school. It is what I have in myself that runs a school. So I don't have to shave clean just because Alamu is coming. Neither do I have to change some of my ethos just because I want to make myself acceptable to a mortal who may not be that special than I am before my Creator. Dinan wa qiyaman. A religion, wa qiyaman, and value, set of values, millata abi Ibrahim, that still conform with the part of my patriarch Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Allah says, wa ma kana min al-mushrikeen. Ibrahim alayhi salam has never been described to be part of the mushriks. So how do we protect the identity? So that is the second challenge for the proprietors and proprietresses who are Muslims. How do we do that? Because once we lose our values and religious identity, our business has failed. Because we say that we are in the business to have our quota registered in transforming the society. Once that religion on the platform of which we join the business is now lost, what then are we doing? What are we doing? Once the ingredient with which we market what we market is lost, what there remains for us to sell? Our identity. We are losing it. We are losing the identity. We are losing the identity. And it's a challenge. It is affecting our productivity. It is affecting our productivity. Some of our students are graduating, I will use that word, on daily basis. They are graduating on a yearly basis. Do we usually think of what becomes of their having graduated from our schools? Do we usually think of what becomes of their life after they may have graduated from our school? We have to evaluate this in that regard as well. But we know, because when we were at the madrasa, there were things we were taught. And when we finish from the madrasa, we carry on with those values. It is because those who taught us there did not lose the values. And that is why we have been able to inherit those values from them. If a student finishes from your school and loses the value you think you may have taught him or her, it means you yourself don't have that value. You don't have that value. How many of our students are ready to use the niqab like you use it? How many of them? Even several of them who are our children, who are our wards within our homes, are like poignant when it comes to the use of the niqab. It means something is missing within the space where these children are being reared. Something is missing. Al-Hifadh al-Huwiyyat al-Islamiyya. If we succeed in that, we shall succeed in other things that shall follow. Thirdly, a way to reform the society as a Muslim proprietor or as a Muslim proprietress is ata'ayyush ma'al biha. Ata'ayyush ma'al biha. We must understand in O-level commerce, we were taught that before you start a business, there are a number of factors that you must consider. Before you begin a business in an environment like Nigeria, a society that is dirty, a society that kills morale in people, a society that wants to make a shaitan of you. If you are to start a business here, especially school business, you must be able to level up to the level of madness that is being displayed here at Aish Ma'al Biha. If you are not prepared for that, somebody somewhere may just come one day and rubbish all you may have done, rubbish all you may have done. Where do we come up with the Atayush Ma'al Biha? When the companions got to Egypt in the 6th century of the Christian era, they put into practice what I'm about to explain. Hatib bin Abi Balta'a was deployed to Egypt. He met Egypt as a Christian society because there were Roman grips over Egypt. And when he was to approach the Al-Muqawqis, that was the royal name, royal title for the kings in Egypt. Al-Muqawqis told him that, why are you here? Are you here to mull over our society and give it an absolutely Islamic picture? Hatib says that, I'm not here to change you from whom you are, but I came here لِنُثْبِتَكَ عَلَى دِينِ الْمَسِيحِ. We wouldn't take you away from the religion of Jesus Christ that you claim you are practicing, but to make you firm on it. And are we going to say Hatib didn't practice Islam or preach Islam in Egypt? He preached Islam, but he was able to align with those areas that would make his dawah work profitable. Ata'ayush ma'al biha. If we are to reform, we must understand the thinking of this society. We must understand the madness that this society celebrates. Understanding the thinking here will give us the leeway in formatting the psyches of the students we are turning out. Secondly, understanding the madness that this society celebrates will give us the leeway in profiling the better solution. The solutions abound, but we have better ones. It isn't all solutions that are solutions. Some are better, some are destructive. We must understand the madness being displayed here in order that we will profile better solutions. Better solutions. A very good example, a very good one, the case of Anambra with Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo as an example. After less than 2 months ago, he made an official declaration that he doesn't want to see any student, whether in the private school or public school, with what? Skimpy skirt. I brought this example because I understand that some of our brothers and sisters running schools do go jittery when it is time for some, like you call them, inspectors from the ministry to come to school. We go jittery. We are not confident of whom we are. There are some of us who cannot look at the governor or the wife in the face like this. See, she's not better than you are. She's never better than you are. We must understand the problem, the madness that is being celebrated here in order to know the better solution that may be proffered to that. It is part of exciting efforts at getting the society reformed. It is part of it. At Ayush Ma'al-Biya. The fourth point. My time. Jawdatul Bidoa. What are we turning out? What are we producing? Some people, or let me say some of us, attended primary schools where we amana aso pade milidika. When we were at those primary schools, our teacher won the kase iwudu kase gosi. Tonti be na, when it came to the time of dishing out what we were sent to school for, our teachers were excellent. It took me some years to realize that those who taught me at the secondary school were just NC holders. They were never BSc holders. Neither were they master's degree holders. But now, can we compare our level of competence with what it used to be then? If our competence can't be compared onto what they had, it means the children we are turning out may not be as competent as expected. Jawdatul Bidoa. And in succeeding in this area, if you know you don't have the stuff that the school you've established deserves, go outside, invoice that particular service out, bring people who can add value to you, bring them together. You need them to make a name for yourself. Jawdatul Bidoa. Islam is not friendly to mediocrity. Islam, a religion, is not friendly to mediocrity. If you know you do not have the standard of dishing out to this society, because this society, if we are to win over, if we are to go into what Mahmoud Mamdani identifies as society-centered revolution. Revolutions are of two kinds. We have state-centered. We don't preach that. We are not ready for that. But we go for society-centered revolution. If we are to go for a society-centered revolution, we ourselves must be geniuses. We ourselves must be genie. And whatever we produce must have the hallmark of what? Of ingenuity. Jawdatul Bidoa. If you can't go beyond where the society stands, you can't reform it. If you can't go beyond where the society stands, you can't reform. That is why we have students, children, who are happy at spending their time watching Bibi Naija. They can't go beyond where the society stands. We have in some Muslim schools where teachers, suppose the Muslim teachers, males and female, exchange Valentine gift. So if you can't go beyond where the society stands in terms of what Jawdatul Bidoa, you can't reform the society. So that is why I said earlier that we are losing the battle. We are losing the battle. Jawdatul Bidoa, the Prophet ﷺ warns us. It is a warning from his own side for us all in this regard. If you don't have what to say, don't go advertising. If you don't have what to say, don't go advertising. Many of us have gone brandishing billboards that we run schools here. We go on adverts. We go for adverts. I think it's a school bill. But the question, do I have what is marketable? Does what I claim to profess conform with whom I really are? Or with whom I really am rather? Jawdatu al-Bidoha. Prophet says, Thalathatun. There are three sets of people. La yukallimuhumullahu yawm al-qiyamah wa la yanzuru ilayhim wa la yuzakkihim wa lahum adhabun alimun. Three sets of people. Summarily, we never see the mercy of Allah on the day of judgment. Neither will Allah look with mercy over them. Neither will He give them the opportunity to say what dwells in their mind. He says a chastising punishment, a scorching punishment awaits them. And when the Prophet counts these three sets of people, he says, Al-munafiqu sil'atahu bil-halfi al-kadhibi. Al-munafiqu sil'atahu bil-halfi al-kadhibi. That person who sells, who markets his or her products will falsehood, will false claims. And this, in our school, our children have 7 A's in the WAEC. Our students score 381 in the JAM. I am sure that standard for JAM is still the standard, I'm sure. Though the questions now are a bit lighter compared to when we were doing JAM then. But JAM, I stand to be corrected. I stand to be corrected. 381. Lord, my way. So we are this, we are that. Are we really whom we are marketing for people? Are we really whom we are marketing for people? Are our students whom we are marketing for people? Al-munafiqu sil'atahu bil-khalf al-kabid. The Prophet says that such, a person may not see the mercy of Allah. Alhamdulillah. And the last point, that is the fifth point. How are we going to be helpful in transforming the society? النظر البعيد إلى المستقبل. النظر البعيد إلى المستقبل. We should look forward to what these children are going to become. It is part of what should concern us. The madaris do this. Each madrasa is concerned with what the student who may have graduated do after their graduation. But most schools, Muslim schools inclusive, are not usually concerned about what the future holds for the students or what the student may likely become. Why are we orientators then if we are not concerned with what the future holds for people who are coming out of our school? Another baidu. What do we want them to become? We want them to become lawyers, but lawyers are of different categories. There are lawyers and there are lawyers. There are sons and there are sons. There are professors and there are professors. It was a professor, a Muslim professor, so to say, that attempted to remove the niqab from what? From a female student at LAUTECH. He's also a professor. There are professors and there are professors. What typology of successes do we want our students to record in the near future? So these are the factors that will help us evaluate whom we have. That will help us evaluate the years we have spent in the business of running a school. We beseech Allah to make our part better, to make our feet firmer on this path, and may He take us to the land of successes over what we have set our hands upon. He has meant to do that. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun ala al mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.